So guys, I'm sitting here in traffic here in the shithole called South Florida, which I just recently made a video just telling you guys why you shouldn't move here. So I wanted to talk about hustle culture and about how, this is a ploy by the system to make you think that your sole purpose in life is to work, and that you should spend every waking moment of your life working and pursuing only activities that generate income. Because see, here's the thing, guys, the more money you make, because what they've done is, on one hand, they're trying to convince you that everything that you should be doing is related to work. And then on the other hand, telling you that you need to buy this expensive car, you need to wear expensive clothes, you need to have the Rolex, you need to have, the penthouse apartment, you need to signal to everyone that you're high value, okay? So what they want is they want you to work nonstop, and then to take the money that you get from your work, of course the money that you don't pay taxes, when you don't get anything for your taxes. You don't get health care, you don't get college education, you don't get assistance in buying a house, you get nothing. You know what you get by paying taxes? You don't get thrown in prison. Because you can go to jail for tax evasion. Okay, you can go take out $1 million loan and just declare bankruptcy, and your credit's fucked for 7 years, but you'll be fine. You're free at least. You don't pay your taxes, they'll throw you in a fucking cage. Okay, so don't ever think that you're free in the United States, because you're not. You were born a slave, unless you were born rich, to a family that had a lot of businesses and a lot of property and a lot of assets. You are a slave. So if you're going to think about starting a family, which I think is a terrible idea, by the way, but that's for a whole nother video. But just know that most likely you're bringing in another slave to this world. A slave that will be conditioned from life to believe that his sole purpose is to work and then to buy stuff. So they want people that are just dumb enough to, do the jobs that are necessary in society, and even dumber to take all their money and buy a bunch of shit they don't need. Buying shit they don't need with money they really don't have. Dude, what are you doing? People are just out just not paying attention. All right, so it's very important to understand that there's also a lot of guilt that goes into this, okay? They make you feel guilty for even taking a day off, especially if you're self-employed and you're used to grinding all the time. That it's like you need to always be looking for work, you need to always be looking for clients, money. And then all the conversations we have with each other are about other ways to make money. They're never about hobbies. Other than my friends in jiu-jitsu, because that's obviously a hobby of mine, and I'm dedicated to that. But in this country, most people don't have even time for hobbies. It's work, and then buying stupid shit to try to justify why you're working so hard. And we're taught all these canards and all these bullshit, little sayings about how they're nothing more than platitudes, false platitudes. One is you'll appreciate things that you worked hard for, and that's bullshit. Okay, that's a fucking capitalist Christian, and we all know what I think about Christianity. It's the perfect religion for slaves and dumb fucks. zero respect for that religion. It's paganism, and it's also just really dumb. Like, I am the most anti-Christian person you'll ever meet, and I'm not afraid to say that. All right, I think it's the worst out of the worst of the worst. But it is a good religion to keep people enslaved, and that's why it's used. And it goes hand in hand with capitalism, but we'll talk about that as well. But they tell you that you'll appreciate things you worked hard for, and that's bullshit. Because what the reality is that whenever you get the thing that you worked really hard for, you tend to appreciate it less, because you look at whatever you bought, right? Whether it's a car or a watch or a vacation, whatever it is, right? You look at what you have, you look at what you got, and you think to yourself, if you think to yourself, wow, like, look at all the hours I had to put in, all the bullshit I had to put up with, all the fucking assholes I had to eat shit from to get this money, to buy this fucking whatever. And it really, and like, the harder you actually had to work for it, the less you're going to actually enjoy whatever it is that you got, because you know how awfully hard you had to work for it, and it makes that thing just not as good. I've always enjoyed, like, that's why getting a deal, think about this for a second, if you pay full price for something versus getting it at a really good deal, why do people really want a good deal? Like, let's just say, I don't know, like, I would collect jerseys. I was into that for a while. I would collect, I'm really getting out of it and selling off my collection, but like, I was really into like basketball, like old school basketball jerseys, like old school football jerseys. Like, I was really into that stuff for a while. But, you know, within reason, the most expensive jersey I would find would be like less than $200. So like, I have the money to get whatever the fuck I want, but it's not about it. There's something fun, there's something valuable. Like, I'll never forget, I found a Manu Ginobili jersey on the Spurs. It was like this Mitchell and Ness for like $35. I got a Chris Webber jersey on the Washington Bullets, and I got it for $20. And like, those are two of my favorite jerseys because I got such an awesome deal on them. So when you think about the whole, like, you'll appreciate things you worked for, well, it takes a lot less work to accumulate $20 than it does to accumulate $200. So like, if I would have paid full price, let's say I would have paid $150 for that Manu Ginobili jersey, or $150 to $200 for that Chris Webber jersey, I actually would have enjoyed it less, because it took a lot more work to get that $150 or $200 for the same thing, and I got it for $20 because I just happened to find a really good deal, and I jumped in it, and I went over to the guy's house and I got it, right? So, but they tell you that to keep you working, to keep you going, to keep you on the fucking hamster wheel. They've got to somehow condition you to keep going on the hamster wheel, and it's all full of lies, right? Because what you really should be doing, in my opinion, is making as much money as you can and spending as little money as you can, so that you actually accumulate money, and then you put it into income producing assets, so that way you get out of the work, you get out of the fucking hamster wheel, you get out of the fucking grind as quickly as you can. But to get out of it as quickly as you can, you need to make as much money as you possibly can while you spend the least amount of money. So that's why it's really about living below your means, not living within your means. Okay? But the problem is, it takes a lot of discipline, because like, it takes a long time to actually, because especially with inflation, prices for things are way overvalued, and the wages aren't keeping up with that, even though people who own businesses are actually making more money because they can just charge more money for what they produce to keep up with inflation, but the workers get nothing. The workers just lag behind because the wages are not going to keep up with inflation. So what happens is that it takes longer to accumulate the money to buy a house, to put money in stocks, to put money into investment properties. Like the traditional things that have worked for people you just can't get the money because the price of the price has gone so fucking high because of inflation. I mean, rent has doubled in the last 5 years. So it's really tough to accumulate the money just even to get a fucking starter home. But again, this is by design, right? Because inflation is a war on the poor. Inflation is a tax on the poor. Inflation is a way to artificially increase the price of assets. I mean, even though inflation has been crazy high under Biden, the stock market is up. The stock market has been up since Biden took office. The price of real estate has been up, and it's all due to inflation. You don't need to have an economics degree or that sophisticated of an understanding of macroeconomics to see what's going on. When you just print a bunch of money and you devalue the currency of any country and you artificially inflate the price of assets, what you do is you artificially increase the net worth of the people who own these assets. At the same time, you make it almost impossible for anybody to acquire these assets that don't already have them. So the younger generations are just giving up. And they're having to work longer and longer hours to just pay their fucking rent and just pay the car note and pay the insurance. But the way out, the only way out, is to live below your means. And that's very difficult, especially in an urban environment and in a social media environment where, we're really taught that if we don't flex, and especially as men, if we don't flex and if we don't, have if we don't pull up with the baddest whip and with gold chains on and jewelry and all this shit and all these, signals of status that, women won't like us and we're never going to get laid and we're never going to be good enough because the guy that does have all that stuff, the girls are going to go after him. But you got to remember, those are all fools. Those women are fools. Those guys are fools. You leave with the wallet, you're going to get taken out. There's a saying, you live in basketball, you live by the three, you die by the three, right? You leave with the wallet, you're going to get taken out with the wallet. So, the guys who leave with the money, when they get fucked over, I don't feel bad for them because, what? They deserve it. And the girls that only go for guys with the wallet, when they end up, by themselves, I don't feel bad for them either because they're asked, they deserve it. But what we need to do though is we need to even have more discipline than our parents. We need to have even more delayed gratification than our parents. And the best way to do that is, listen, if you're not leveraging social media for a business or to promulgate a message, and meaning you're a producer, you're a content creator, if you're just habitually just consuming content because you're bored, then you're part of the problem. You're your own worst enemy, and if you're not going to be a producer, then just at the very least don't be a consumer. Okay? So hustle culture, grind, grit, wake and grind, and all this bullshit. This is all talking heads, mouthpieces of the consumer capitalist culture to keep you enslaved, to keep you in debt, to keep you on the fucking perpetual hamster wheel, thinking that the next car, the next diamond ring, the next fucking whatever the fuck they're trying to fucking sell you is going to get you the life you want. It will never do it. And all the Grant Cardones and all the Wes Watsons and all the Andrew Tates are nothing more. And I wouldn't be surprised if the powers that be somehow manipulate the algorithms to pumping up their content to influence people to work harder and longer, so that, because the thing is, what this economy want, what the powers that be want, are obedient, productive members of society. And that's what they tell you. It's even in the lingo, you know, of how parents raise their kids to be productive members of society. Schools are training kids to be what? Productive members of society. What's a productive member of society, you may ask? A productive member of society is someone who's just stupid enough to go to work and just dumb enough to accept less pay, the end of overtime. That's what they want.